Okay, so we're going to do the cross-matching of coagulation for blood transfusions. You need a recipient and a donor, so two animals, and you need to get blood from each of them. And you'll put half of your blood from the donor into a red top tube and let it sit and have it clot. And then one for your recipient, so I got them labeled. And then the other half you put in the EDA purple top tube. So what we'll do, this has been sitting for a while, at least 20 minutes, so these are nice and clotted. So I'm just going to put it into the centrifuge for about 10 minutes so we can get the serum off of it. And once we get the serum, I'll just put it in a regular red top tube. And then we can start doing the erythrocyte washing of the EDA2 blood. Alright, so I've got the recipient and donor blood out of the centrifuge, and they have separated very nicely. So we're just going to take the serum off and put it in a no additive red top tube labeled recipient and donor. So I'm going to take a pipette. And this is donor. So we'll put in the donor. There we go. And get off the recipient. Alright, so that's all ready. Now I'm going to take our two purple top tubes and we're going to centrifuge them for 10 minutes as well so we can get some of the plasma off of that for our erythrocyte washing. Okay, so it's been 10 minutes and I've carefully taken one of the purple top tubes out with some hemostats. You want to make sure you don't mix it up or anything because we've got that nice plasma right there. So we need to get that out and get like 1 or 2 drops of the red blood cells so we can start our washing. So I just got one out right now. So I'm going to go over to the sink with my pipette and just decanter the plasma out because we don't need that. We just need the erythrocytes. Okay. So with another pipette, I've got just a regular non-additive red top tubes to put our erythrocyte in. One says recipient, one says donor. This one is recipient. So I've got that one open. So we just need about 1-2 drops of the red blood cells. 1, 2. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing with the donor sample. And then what we'll do is fill up the rest of this tube with saline, and then we can put it in the centrifuge for our washing. Just a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So I've got some saline here. We're just going to fill up the rest some saline and just slowly mix it up. I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Alright, so this will be our first washing. We'll go ahead and put it in the centrifuge for about 1 minute. Alright, so once you pull out the erythrocytes, you want to make sure that the solution is clear and you know that you washed it right. You have your erythrocytes all settled down to the bottom. So what we want to do is just recant the solution off of the erythrocytes, and then we'll do it again. You want to wash it at least 3 times total. I need to get a longer pipette. Yep. You get a longer pipette. I'm going to just fill it back up. With some saline. Put your top back on it. Just rock it back and forth a few times, making sure that it mixes very well. And we'll do the same thing. This was the recipient. We'll do the same thing to the donor. Just going to recant all of that solution. Refill it up with some saline. Rock it back and forth a few times. Make sure you get all combined. And we'll put it in the centrifuge one more time for another minute, and then we'll bring it back out. We'll do the same thing one more time, and that will be our third one. And then we'll put it back in the centrifuge for another minute. Then we will take it out and decanter all the solution, and then at that time I will show you how to start our erythrocytes. Okay, so we did the last washing of our erythrocytes. I went ahead and decantered all the solution, the saline solution, off of the red blood cells right down here at the bottom. So I've got the recipient and the donor. We want to wash those 3 times. Now we are all ready for our recipient and donor suspension. So I've already pulled 0.98 saline solution. I'm going to put it in just a regular red top tube with nothing in it. Put that in there. And I'll go ahead and put it in for the recipient as well. So you want to take 0.02 of the red blood cells. See if my needle's long enough here. Okay. And this is the recipient, so we're going to put it in the recipient suspension. We'll do the same thing to the donor. Now that this is going to be all ready, this is our donor and recipient suspension. We're just going to rock it back and forth, make sure it mixes real well. Same thing with the donor. Alright, and now we're all ready for our major coagulation. Alright, so we're all ready for our major or minor cross match, as well as our recipient and donor control. So we're going to start with our major, and what we're going to do, that's going to be 2 drops of the recipient serum. So I've got my recipient serum here. That's going to be 2 drops. And then the donor, 2 drops of the donor suspension. Mix that on. Alright, so that's our major. Then we're going to do our minor, which is going to be 2 drops of the donor serum, and then 2 drops of the recipient suspension. So we are all done with our minor. Okay, then we're going to do our recipient control, which is going to be 2 drops of the recipient serum and 2 drops of the recipient suspension. And then the recipient suspension. And the same thing with the donor. So we're going to get 2 drops of the donor serum. 2 drops of the donor suspension. Alright, so we have our major cross match, our minor cross match, our recipient and donor control. And these need to intubate at room temperature for 30 minutes. And then when we come back, we can do our cross matching under the microscope.
And then hit the down button or whatever when I'm ready to.
Okay, so we've got these have been sitting for 30 minutes. We got the major, the minor, and the recipient and donor control. And we're just going to look at them real quick, see if we see any coagulation, any clumping of the red blood cells. Nothing really obvious right now, so that's a good indication that they're a match. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take just a drop of the minor and one of the major, put them on a slide, on 2 slides, separate slides, and look under the microscope and see if we see any coagulation, any clumping, any clotting, and if we don't, then they are a perfect match. Now when we do see the clotting, it's going to usually look like a clump of grapes. So I've got my major, I got to drop off the major, put it on my slide, put the cover slip right on top of it, and we're just going to look under the microscope. Again, we're looking for anything that kind of looks like clumping or any grapes or anything like that. I'm going to put it to 100. Going to look through the slide, look for any major clumping. Everything looks good right now. And we're going to go through that whole slide and look for any major clotting. And everything looks good on this major one, so I don't see anything that looks like grapes or any clumps of anything. So it looks like these 2 are a good match for a blood transfusion. Now I'm just going to double check with my minor. Just make sure that that looks good as well. I'm going to put a drop on the slide. Put the cover slip on there. Alright, again, I'm going to go on the 40 so I can see. Alright, and I'm going to go through the whole slide. Again, we're looking for any clotting, any coagulation, looking like grapes. Everything is looking good right now. Alright, and everything looks like the major. No clumping, no irregularities. All the red blood cells are looking good, no clumping. Alright, so at this point, with the major and the minor cross match, we did not see any clumping or any coagulation, no clotting. So these 2 recipients, the donor and the recipient, should match for a blood transfusion.